Silence is not empty. That's what people get wrong. Silence is full of words that never escaped, full of questions that died in the throat, full of answers that arrived too late. My name is Ethan Cole, and for most of my life, silence followed me like a shadow that never needed light. I lived in a narrow apartment in Chicago where the walls were thin, but my life was quieter than they were. Every night, I worked as a janitor in a glass building downtown, cleaning offices where people discussed futures that didn't include me. They never asked my name. They never looked up. And slowly, I learned how to exist without being seen. It was on one of those quiet nights, while polishing a conference room table, that I found it. A small, black notebook left behind. It was unmarked, simple. My first instinct was to put it in the lost and found, but something held me back. Maybe it was the weight of it, the way it felt solid and real in a world where I felt increasingly invisible. I opened it. The first page had a single sentence. If you're reading this, you must be a ghost too. A jolt went through me. Below it, a list of names. Sarah, Leo, Maya, and a set of coordinates for a place I didn't recognize. Curiosity is a powerful thing, especially when you have nothing to lose. The next day, I called in sick for the first time in 10 years. I took the train to the coordinates, which led me to an old, forgotten part of the city, to a small, unassuming bookstore called the Echo Chamber. The bell above the door didn't ring when I walked in. It was silent. An old woman with eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 stories looked up from behind the counter. She smiled, a genuine, warm smile that felt like the sun after a long winter. "Ethan," she said, not as a question, but as a greeting. "We've been waiting for you." That was the day my silent world began to fill with sound. The bookstore was a sanctuary for people like me, the ghosts. People who had slipped through the cracks of society, who felt unheard and unseen. Sarah was a musician who had lost her hearing. Leo was a writer whose work was always rejected. Maya was an artist who was too shy to show her paintings. We were all bound by a shared invisibility. The notebook wasn't just a lost item, it was an invitation. An invitation to a place where silence wasn't an absence, but a language. We didn't need to speak loudly to be heard. We listened to the pauses, the hesitations, the stories told in glances and quiet gestures. Over the next few months, the Echo Chamber became my home. I learned that Sarah composed music not with notes, but with vibrations she could feel. Leo wrote stories for an audience of one, passing them around our small circle, each reader adding a new layer of meaning. Maya started painting again, not for a gallery, but for the walls of our sanctuary, her colors screaming the emotions she could never voice. We weren't trying to rejoin the loud world that had forgotten us. We were building our own, one quiet connection at a time. The old woman, Alara, was our guide. She taught us that being unseen didn't mean you weren't there. It just meant you had to find a different way to shine. One evening, I found a new entry in the notebook. It was in my handwriting. "My name is Ethan Cole. I used to be a shadow. Now, I'm part of an echo." Below it, I added a new name and a new set of coordinates for another lonely soul. Heidi noticed on my old cleaning route a security guard who always looked at the stars through the glass ceilings he was paid to protect. Idy left the notebook on his desk, a silent invitation. Because I had learned the most important lesson of all. Silence isn't the end of the story. Sometimes it's just the beginning. It's the space you need to find the people who can truly hear you, even when you don't say a word. This journey taught me that everyone has a story, even those who live in the quietest corners of the world. And sometimes, the most profound connections are made not in the noise, but in the shared silence. It's in these quiet spaces that we can truly see each other. If you've ever felt invisible, remember this. Your silence is not emptiness. It's a space waiting to be filled. Maybe it's time to find your own echo chamber, or better yet, to build one for someone else. There's a strength in quietness, a community in the unspoken, and a light that shines brightest when no one else is looking. You just have to be willing to see it. And that's the thing about being a ghost. You learn to see other ghosts. You learn that you're not alone in the shadows. We started a network, a quiet underground of found notebooks and whispered coordinates. From city to city, these silent invitations began to travel, finding their way into the hands of the overlooked, the forgotten, the quiet ones. Each notebook was a key, unlocking a door to a small, safe space, just like the echo chamber. We weren't trying to change the world. We were just trying to make it a little less lonely for those of us living in its margins. And in doing so, we found something we never had before, a voice. Not a loud one, but a persistent echo that couldn't be ignored. My name is Ethan Cole, and I am no longer silent. I am an echo. Thanks for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, maybe share it with someone who might need to hear it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from the quiet places. See you next time.